I wanted to share something that a lot of us women have dealt with, and we're finally speaking more and more about, right? And that would be a clear, crystal clear experience of sexual harassment and sexual assault. And of course, finding our voice. And so I thought, you know what? It's time to share a couple of my stories with you guys. And the first one I wanted to start off with is the first one that happened in its timeline. So a couple of years ago, I was purchasing a gift for my niece. And I was so excited. Her birthday was, we were celebrating it that day. And so I went to Barnes & Noble's. And at Barnes & Noble's, I went to the children's section so that I could find just the right thing. I knew like something educational would be fun, right? So I go to the children's section and I'm looking through and I'm seeing these sweet like families together, and they're all shopping and looking for cute little things, educational, fun reads, all this good stuff. And I do notice, right? It's like being connected to one's intuition. I did notice this gentleman and these other people like all together, right? And I literally went through the entire section, children's section. And when I was over there looking at some of the toys and like picking it up off of a shelf, I literally felt somebody swipe the back of my ass. Literally felt that. I was you could imagine, the first response is freeze. My first response was frozen, thinking, did that really just happen? There is plenty of space around me here that I could not have run into something. I'm grabbing something from a shelf. I turn around and look, and there is nothing behind me except about 2 steps back. There is this older man looking at some toys. And I turn around and I look at him and I say, "Excuse me? Did you just touch me?" And I say it loud enough for everyone in the area to hear. This gentleman why am I using that word? Excuse me, this man who did this looked at me very ashamedly and is like, "Oh, no. Let me tell you, the people around me were offended at my volume that I was using of my voice. They were offended and they looked at me and gave me a look like, let me just clarify, not that this matters. We are all humans. I just want to share that everyone around me in that area we were all this beautiful golden tone, and we were all coming from the ethnicity of Hispanic. Just a side note. And I immediately went to the manager of the store and let them know what took place. We went to go look for him and he was gone. And I told them my biggest concern is not that I was sexually assaulted, but it's the fact that this man is in the children's section of Barnes & Noble. What is going on here? He definitely needs to be taken out and should not be let back in. I got to use my voice. But in telling this story, I also want to share the fact that I will do something differently next time. Next time, I will actually be louder than I was. I will be more offensive than I was in that area of Barnes & Noble's. I'll make sure the whole Barnes & Noble's can hear me. And you know those places can be big. I was in a very large one. Next time, I will be plenty loud so that everyone can stop and look and see and have their attention drawn and their awareness sparked to understand what is going on here now. Because it's not okay that I was touched. And it is not okay that that man was in an area where there are children. Everything about that was not okay. And I don't have a problem saying that. I don't have a problem looking like the fool because I was not respected. And this person is in an area where they are not showing respect. So it's beautiful to be able to use our voices and to be able to stand up and share these things that take place because their experiences, their real life experiences that take place. And in using our voice, we get to stand in our power. And at this time when we get to stand in our power, it's just a reminder to others that they too get to do the same, that we get to use this beautiful throat chakra, these amazing vocal cords that produce a frequency, and we get to communicate. One of the most powerful things that we have. So let your voices be heard. So the other story I wanted to share is about being sexually harassed. I was walking to a job interview and I got out of my car, and within about a minute, this guy walks up to me and asks me for money. He didn't seem to be in a good, solid state of mind, so I just told him, I'm sorry, I don't have anything right now. And he continued to walk with me as I was going to pull the door of the interview that I was going to. And he began to keep going on. And he made an offer that was extremely sexual and inappropriate. And I had my power and I had my voice. And I was able to grab my phone and tell him, you need to get the hell out of here right now. And I said it very loudly. I was in an area where there were plenty of people outside. And I told him, I said, you need to get out of here. I'm going to call the cops if you don't step back right now, step back and get away from me. And I was able to say this, which is power and strength, that he definitely stepped back and moved away. Like I said, there were plenty of people around. Nobody stepped up to do anything until a few minutes later. A gentleman came to me and asked me if I was okay because I was walking back to my car. I didn't even make it into the door because the people for the interview weren't there yet. And he checked on me, he stayed with me, he, asked me if he needed to call the cops or whatever. And he said, I saw you outside and I noticed like it didn't look right from being inside. And my wife was like, oh, he came with her. Everybody in the neighborhood assumed that I showed up with him, which is an interesting point to be made. Even if I had come with that guy and I am telling him to stay away from me, we're going to make the assumption that it's okay. Just leave me there together. That's like an internal problem. You're always fine, safe, approved of. I invite you to ask the woman if she's okay. Ask the guy if he's okay. Because sometimes these things happen to men as well, where somebody's screaming and yelling and at them and demeaning them in a public place. I've seen that as well. It's okay. I invite you to ask them. I give you permission to ask them, check on them. If you offend them, you offend them, but you checked on them. That is coming from a place of security, love, safety. That's a good thing. So he stayed with me the whole time until the people arrived for the interview. It's interesting to note that I was not welcomed when I shared the story that happened. I was not welcome. My story was not received. It was not met with any compassion or any understanding. From that woman, she just looked at me and was like, oh, well, things happen. And I knew then and there, like, no questions asked. These are not the people to work for. This is not the woman to work with. So yeah, these are just examples of how we use our voice and how we get to stand on our power and how we get to make decisions from within instead of being worried about what everyone else is thinking and what it may look like to them on the outside. In me, so choosing to use my voice, I am reflecting inside and looking at myself and what I need to give myself, which is me being safe, me feeling like I'm in control of what I can be in control of. And from there, outwardly, I serve myself.